If you've been applying for data roles and not getting interviews, there is a good chance your portfolio is part of the problem, even if on the surface it looks good. And I say this carefully because I used to think the same way. For a long time, I genuinely believed that as long as I had dashboards, as long as I had notebooks, as long as I had links to GitHub, I was doing the right thing. But back then, I felt busy all the time. I was building projects, I was finishing courses, I was sharing link. And whenever I looked at my portfolio, I felt confident that I had done enough. But what I did not realize at that time was that I was looking at my portfolio the way a learner looks at it and not the way a hiring manager does. So that mindset stayed with me until I started looking at portfolios more closely. Not just mine, but other people's too. People would send me their work, they would ask me why they weren't getting interviews. But as I went through them, something became obvious to me. Most portfolios were not bad, they were not wrong. But after a while, they all started to blur together. And that's when it clicked for me. A portfolio is not just a folder of work, it is a story. It is a story about how you think. It is a story about how you solve problems. And it's a story about how you create value. That misunderstanding is why a lot of people don't lead to interviews today. And in most cases, the skills are already there. The tools are there too. What is missing is the story. The portfolio shows all your projects. It shows everything you've done, but it does not show insights. It shows your efforts, but it does not show actionable recommendations that your viewers or reviewers need to take home. And this isn't just my opinion. If you speak to hiring managers or recruiters, one thing comes up again and again. They don't struggle to find people who know tools, but they struggle to find people who can explain why something matters and what should be done next. And that is the gap most portfolio leave open. So in this video, I'll be explaining 3 reasons why many portfolios fall flat, what hiring teams are actually looking for when they open your link, and how you can fix it without learning new tools or building more projects. So I'm going to explain what I mean. I will start with the first and most common issue. A lot of portfolios are simply links. A Power BI link, a Tableau link, a GitHub repository with several files. And when you open them, you see charts, you see tables, you see code, or you really don't understand what you're looking at. There is no context. You don't know what problem the person was trying to solve. You don't know why it mattered. You don't know what decision the analysis supports. And I've seen portfolios where dashboard itself is actually well designed. The chart looks beautiful, it looks fine. The metrics make sense. But after scrolling for a minute, you still don't know the why behind it. And if you don't know the why, it is very hard to trust the insight. Now, think about how work actually happens. Nobody comes to you and says, here is a clean data set, go build a dashboard. Real problems are messy. Data is very dirty. Questions are vague. Questions are unclear. Objectives change halfway through. Sometimes you don't really know what the real problem is until you've explored the data for a while. So when portfolio jumps straight into visuals or code, it keeps the most important part of the work, thinking. The thinking that happened before and after. And that thinking is what hiring teams are trying to assess. So when someone reviews your portfolio, they are quietly asking a few questions. What was the problem here? How did this person approach it? What assumptions did they make? And what did they really learn from the data? If those questions or if those answers are not obvious, the problems feels like a technical exercise and not real analysis. The second issue I see a lot is how similar the projects are. Many portfolios don't stand out because the projects themselves are too generic. You see the same data sets everywhere. Titanic data sets, Iris dataset, Netflix dataset, sales dashboards that all look slightly different but tell the same story. This usually isn't intentional. It happens before people follows tutorials, and tutorials you reuse the same examples, and that's completely fine when you're learning. But when your entire portfolio is built from tutorials, it starts to blend in. I've seen situations where 5 different people sent me their portfolios and all 5 have done the same project. When that happens, no matter how clean the work is, it simply becomes very hard to remember who did what. So from a reviewer's point of view, this matters a lot. They've seen these projects many times before. Even when one is done well, it doesn't feel memorable. It doesn't tell them anything unique about the person behind it. A portfolio that stands out usually reflects curiosity. Sometimes it reflects personal interest. Sometimes it reflects the industry someone wants to work in. And you can even tell when a choice was made on purpose. And it might be a data set that is related to education, data set that is related to healthcare, that is related to finance, marketing, or social issues. It might be something that is scraped from the website, combined or cleaned in a way that shows your effort and initiative. I've seen portfolios where analysis itself was simple, but the problem choice made it very powerful. And your data set doesn't have to be complex, that's the thing. Because complexity does not equal value. What matters most is your intention behind it, is your intentional choice. And when someone can immediately understand why you chose a project, they start seeing you differently. They don't just see you as someone who is learning, but they see you as someone who is thinking. And then the third issue many people overlook is navigation. Even when the work is good, the portfolio itself can be hard to follow. You have links everywhere. You have your files with unclear names. No obvious place to start. I've opened a portfolio where I genuinely didn't know which project to click first. And if I feel that way, imagine someone who has 10 other portfolios to review. Hiring teams don't have the time to figure it out. If they feel confused in the first few minutes, they move on. And fixing this doesn't require beautiful websites. It doesn't require more tools. A simple setup works best. A clean GitHub repository, a Notion page, a single page site, what matters most is clarity. As long as it is easy to follow, it does the job for you. So how do you actually improve your portfolio? The first thing is to start treating your portfolio like a small case study. So before you build anything, be clear about the problem you're trying to solve. Then explain how you approached it. Finally, talk about what you found out and what should happen next. This doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be long. Even a few thoughtful paragraphs can completely change how your work is perceived. Also, be selective. You don't need many projects. In fact, 3 strong, well-explained projects are often better than 10 average ones. Choose projects that align with the kind of roles that you're interested in. Choose projects that align with the kind of industries you're interested in, because that would help reviewers to imagine you in that role. And most importantly, remember this: your portfolio is often speaking for you even before you get the chance to. If it doesn't clearly show how you think, people won't take the next step even if you are capable. So instead of rushing to learn another tool or build another project, pause and ask yourself one simple question. If someone looked at my portfolio for 3 minutes, would they understand how I think? Because that question changes everything. I would really like to hear from you. What part of building a portfolio do you find most challenging right now? Is it choosing projects? Is it explaining your work? Or organizing everything clearly? So let's talk about it in the comments. One last thing, later this month, February, I'll be hosting a live session where I would walk you through how to build a portfolio that actually tells a story and gets noticed. So if that's something you want to be part of, make sure you're subscribed and have the notifications on.